Hello folks, Andy Gamer Muzzer here, and we are playing Elite Dangerous Odyssey. I haven't done much on this, because, well, it didn't have the smoothest of launches. It came up with a lot of issues. There's been a lot of patches and fixes over the past 5 weeks or so, and, well, yeah, it hasn't been received greatly by the Elite Dangerous community, and you know, there's a lot of justification in how it's been received, because when it came out, it was a mess. But you know what? A lot of the complaints I've seen have been regarding it not being fully optimized, and it isn't. Not in comparison to Horizons. Now, I think when you look at Horizons and then you look at Odyssey, they look to be two different game engines for me. But I also think we were spoilt with Horizons because it was just optimized extremely well, and you could run it on absolutely, well, almost anything. Quad core PC would run it. I mean, when I first started playing Elite Dangerous, I ran Horizons on a old quad core PC. Wasn't an i7 or any of that. It was predated them, and a AMD 7950 card. My system currently, it's not a beast of a system. In fact, it's old, but it does everything I want it to do. But it struggles with Odyssey. Now, my system is a 4th gen i7. It's a 4970. I've got 16 gig of RAM and a GTX 1080. And this system struggles, but it doesn't struggle. Let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to be in a station. I'm loading the game. I'm in a station, and I'm going to show you what the FPS is that I'm getting. But it's bizarre. So there we go. FPS. Now bear in mind, I've also got OBS running, which is what I'm recording on. So that's taking up GPU power, it's taking up CPU power. So, you know, I'm sharing the game. And currently I'm on 34, 35 FPS. Just studying, doing nothing. Now we're starting to run at walkabout. It's gone up into the 40s there. There we go, I'm into the 50s. Now, this isn't behaving like a game that's hitting low 30s, mid 40s. You know, it's smooth, it's fluid. If I didn't have an FPS on, an FPS counter on, that is, you wouldn't think that this was running so low on the FPS count. Because it just looks, the way it runs, the way I'm moving about, makes that FPS counter look like it's lying. Because it is nice and smooth. Now, there's people have posted ways to get your frame count up, and I think in this day and age we're all spoilt on getting 120 frames a second, etc. We're all spoilt on it. And like I say, my PC graphics card, they're not new by any stretch of the imagination, but they play everything I play. I play a lot of Warzone, I play a lot of Modern Warfare, and I don't have any frame drops or anything. It runs everything smooth as silk. I play Death Stranding, it plays amazing. I play a lot of games, Everspace 2, Star Wars Squadrons, lots of games that run smooth as silk and with well above 60 FPS. I mean, there I'm hitting 60s there, and in here there's me beautiful cutter with the Azure paint job. What has happened to the Azure paint job? Please, FDF, please fix that when you can. Thanking you. I know you have more important issues to fix than a paint job. But I did like the Azure paint job, and now it's just blue. Anyway, getting back to this. So, I'm going to go back to a spot in the station, and I'm going to make some changes to the graphic settings. Now, there's many people that talk about reducing the super sampling, which is, and many of the people that reduce the super sampling are running in 4K. So they reduce the super sampling so that it gives the equivalent of 2K. Now I'm running in 2K currently, so if I reduce the super sampling, it'll give me the equivalent of 1080p basically. So here we are, here, 28 FPS, not great, not great at all. Now what I want you to look at is them stairs, not the ones directly in front, the ones going diagonally up. And when I reduce things, you will see that the anti-aliasing suffers. However, well, I'll show you. So, options, graphics, quality. Now, what people are doing is reducing this to 0.65, especially people in 4K. They're reducing this to 0.65 and leaving that on and applying. And it'll enhance the frame rate. As you've seen there, it's already gone up. Oh, there you go. But look at the terrible anti-aliasing because of that. But you know what? If you can handle a few jagged edges, great. It still drops to mid-30s.
Hi. You look like a decent shot. I got quality weapons for discerning customers.
So, you know, it's still not fantastic, but it's okay. Now, other things you can do is you can turn a few things off. So let's go into quality. Now, I'm running on ultra in the quality. Other than that, but let's turn some things off. Shadows, low, bloom off, blare off, ambient occlusion off. Leave that on ultra. Effects, turn them off. Depth of field off. Leave material quality and turn the LOD off. Apply. Now, see there in the menu straight away, it's gone over 60 frames. Now, sometimes for these to really take effect, you need to restart the game. So there you go, 59 FPS now, and it hasn't made that much difference to the quality of how it looks. Other than them jagged lines on the stairs, due to turning the super sampling off. Once again, it's in the 30s. This game, no matter what you do, at some point will go into the 30s on the FPS. Friend of mine has almost the same system as me, with the exception of his CPU, which is an 8th gen i7, and we get the same frame rate. Another friend, not sure what CPU he has, but he has an RTX 3070. He gets the same frame rate as me on 2K. My other friend with the better CPU, he's running at 1080. He also runs in VR as well. When he uses his monitor, he runs in 1080, and he gets the same frame rate as me. When he's using VR, he gets slightly less, which is just bizarre. So it tends to be, I think, it doesn't matter what system you've got, you're going to have frame rate issues on this game. The thing is, until they fix it, we really need to just... Do we need to concentrate on FPS? I've stopped concentrating on FPS, and I've just gone for playing the game and enjoying the game. I can handle it at 30 FPS. As long as it doesn't drop below that very often, which it doesn't, to be honest, I can handle it. So I'm going to put my settings back to where they were, which was Ultra. Frame rate's going to take a massive hit.
The legendary Cobra. No matter what kind of ship
See, it's down at the low 20s now, and it looks terrible. But this is what I'm saying. If you exit, go back into the game. Remember, I changed the graphic settings to Ultra, and it went down to low 20s on the frame rate. So we'll be starting in the concourse again, near the lifts, and we'll go back to the point where I was getting them 22 FPS. And there we are, we're back to that point, and high 20s. So sometimes exiting the game and restarting once you made a graphical change can make a difference. I mean, that's give me an extra 8 FPS. But I just want to do some other things. There was Down to Earth Astronomy. He plays this game in 4K. He's using a 1080 Ti, I believe it was. And he was running his game in high quality at 4K with the super sampling down to 0.65, 0.75. He also had a lot of things turned down a bit, similar to what I did. So I'm not going to turn anything off this time. I'm just going to go to high. I'll leave that as it is for now and apply. Let's see what happens. So there we go. We've gained 4 or 5 FPS just by going down to high. So if we then go back into the graphic settings and change this, we'll go to 0.65 again. Apply. And there we are. 4950 FPS.
Well, I should probably make tracks.
So they do help. but at some point it'll drop below 30 FPS. But like I said, I can deal with 30 FPS as long as it's smooth. It's when it starts dropping more frames. And like I say, I run at 2K. I'd rather not change my resolution to get more frame rate, and I can deal with how it looks there. The anti-aliasing looks terrible, but I can deal with that. However, I don't have to, because it running at 30 FPS or a little more. It's generally over 30 FPS, mid 30s, low 40s. It's fine. So we'll go back to Ultra. But yeah, I just think everybody's got, I mean, look at that, it's dropped down to 18 FPS on the menu. I just think we've all got a bit too focused on FPS rather than playing a game. So once again, I'm going to exit the game, exit the main menu and restart the game. Well, quit the desktop and then restart from the launcher. And as you can see there, I'm at 23 FPS. So, back to where we were, just to show you that a restart does improve things when you change graphic settings. There we go, it was 22. We're up to 28. But like you say, for the most part, running around here, it'll be 30 FPS and generally doesn't drop below that. So, yeah, so what we're going to do now, I'm going to go into the hangar, I'm going to board my ship. I don't know why that keeps doing that and then draws it in. Strange. So we'll go to my ship and we'll see what flight looks like, and then we're going to go to I can't remember what they call the place. It's in Shinrad Desert anyway, on planet A2. We're going to go there and we're going to have a blast around on an SRV. So you'll see FPS that I'm getting on my current settings, which is at 2K running in Ultra. And you'll see that this game is very playable. Granted, I'm not getting that magic 60 FPS plus, but do we need it? So in the 50s here, we'll launch. Forgive me flight if I mess up here. I'm getting used to, I've just got a new HOTAS X52 Pro, and I don't have the muscle memory, and I can't even remember the new key bindings for it. They're just at default at the minute till I find what I'm happy with. So forgive me if I ping anything. Press the wrong buttons. I was in combat earlier. I hit the button to turn silent running on, so I lost all my shields if I was in combat. Right, where are we going? We're going to Shinrad Desert, I said, didn't I? I mean, for the most part, the issue with the optimization seems to be more on foot than anything else. When you're on foot, for some reason, the FPS drops massively. But like I say, I'm trying not to concentrate on FPS and just trying so it's playable, and it's playable at 30 FPS, because as you saw in my little examples, it was smooth, it was fluid, it was fast. and the numbers in the FPS count are sort of deceived a little bit. In you wouldn't have thought it would run how it was, getting the numbers it was, because it just runs nice and smooth. And I'm using the in-game counter because I've used the MSI one, the MSI Afterburner one, and it gives you the exact same. So rather than use extra processing power just on a counter, I've just used the in-game one. Like I say, I'm already using extra processing power and GPU power by having OBS run. So that's probably costing me a few FPS as well. So we're coming into Mailer Works. We've got this, it's an atmospheric planet. I'm getting over 70 FPS. Not in orbit yet. Gone up to 80. There we go. Normal flight. Still getting over 70. Dropped a little below 70. But for the most part, it's sitting around 70. Look at that, it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I'll show you my graphic settings when we land. It's just so anybody with a similar system can do a comparison. What I'm getting, what you are getting, etc. Control F gives you the FPS in Elite if you don't know. Unless you've changed it. But default is Control F. Oh, that's you can't tell me that's still that's not gobsmacking. It's fantastic. This game still holds a lot for me. Right, so I'm just going to land over here so I can get me SRV out. So getting in the 40s as we're coming into land. Right, so we're out. So let's get on foot. See how it looks on foot on the planet. And there we go. 40 FPS. How nice is that? Just lovely. But once again, look, nice and smooth. No major issues. It's excellent. If that number wasn't displayed, you wouldn't know that I was getting such low FPS. So we're going to board SRV and we'll have a blast round Mailer Works. If I can remember what my controls are for the SRV on this new stick. Right, so there we go, 40 FPS, almost the same as what I was getting on foot. wonder, the one thing that really does wind me up is the culling system, because sometimes you'll hit an invisible rock and you get damage to your SRV. Now, patch 5 said that was fixed. I've still come across it, so I don't think it has been fixed, but not fully anyway. But I mean, it hasn't happened yet, so maybe it's just not as common. Oh, nearly. Well, you know, like I say, it's not ideal by any stretch of the imagination. But it's still highly playable. Now, there, I hit a rock there. Did you see that? So this was the... See ya. See where my tracks disappear. There, I'm hitting a rock. It's not there, but I'm hitting it. So this is... This to me, this... Yeah, either it's A, not rendering rocks in, or B, not culling them, is a bigger moan for me than the FPS issue for now. But that to me, that not rendering that rock in or not culling it because it hasn't been rendered in is more of an annoyance than the FPS issue. We'll head back to my ship. And we'll show you what my settings are, my resolution, etc. I'm not going to change anything because, like I say, I'm happy with them. I'm happy with how the game looks, how it runs, as it is. Don't get me wrong, I want it improving. I want to get to that sort of Horizons level, or as near to it. I don't think we will get to that level, but I want to get as near to that level as possible. I definitely want to have my 60 plus FPS. Just look at that. It is staggering. So, options, graphics. So, display, as you say, as I said, GTX 1080 with running at 2K, 1440p, or QHD, whatever you want to call it, 144Hz monitor. Vertical sync is on. That will also give you some extra FPS, turning that off, believe it or not. I don't know if it'll work here because I'm not moving, but we'll turn it off and apply. And go back. Resume. So yeah, couple of more, but not much. Go back into here, graphics again. And turn that back on. So, Quality, run it in ultra. High, ultra on SMAA, super sampling 1. You all know, turn it down to 0.65, 0.75, and it'll give you more FPS at the cost of poor anti-aliasing. By the way, it doesn't reduce the anti-aliasing, but that'll still be on SMAA. However, you can just see all the edges. AMD Fidelity FX, leave that on. You see what that does is that just smooth things out and makes things crisper for when you turn that down. So in actual fact, what you're doing is, although you're reducing the super sampling, how fine things look, this helps by upscaling it and refills in some. It's not as good. You'll still see a quality drop, but you've got to really look for it. So there's no point in having that off, to be honest with you, especially if you're going to reduce your super sampling. If you're reducing your super sampling, definitely turn that on. So yeah, I'm in occlusion. You've seen I turned that off earlier. I turned the effects quality, depth of field off. I turned a fair few things off. Blur, bloom, turn them off. And they helped with the FPS. But I'll leave them on because, like I say, why I'm happy with it, why not? If it drop under the 30 FPS and it gets a bit juddery, then I'd maybe turn things down. But for the time being, I'm not going to bother. So yeah, just like I say, it's just standard ultra settings that I'm on. So I was disappointed today to see a post on the Frontier forum regarding the community management team getting a lot of abuse and threats. What is all that about? They are the face of the game when it comes to doing the streams, doing posts for the community, etc. They're the ones that do it. They're the ones that are really our first point of contact. You know, they're the ones that go reading the forums, etc. When we are going on the forum saying, I've got this issue. And, you know, ultimately, they haven't programmed anything. The community management team haven't programmed anything. They will have very little to no say at all in what goes into the game, how things are done in the game. This trouble with Odyssey is not the community management team's fault. Come on, be better than that, people. Be better than that. Don't be giving people grief because they're doing a job. That's all they are doing is a job. And getting toxic with them will get you where? How will that fix the game? If it makes you feel better, then maybe you need to look at yourself rather than look at them. You know, Odyssey isn't the first game to come out with issues. It certainly won't be the last. I have every faith that it will be fixed. The quicker the better. You know, I've spent my hard-earned money on it as well. I didn't get it for nothing. And I've had my moans about this game, and I've spat me dummy out and said I'm going to stop playing. You know, and then I thought, hang on, what is my biggest gripe? My biggest gripe was, at first, how poor it ran, and rightly so. But you know what? I did things. I reduced graphics quality and stuff to make it run better. And the patches that have come out have helped a little. Not massively, they've helped a little. And made it so I can have it at the quality I want and it be playable. I want more. Don't get me wrong, I'm not I'm still not 100% happy. And I was very disappointed at how it was all handled by not the community management team, certainly not them, but by the upper echelons of FDev, shall we say. Very disappointed at what was said by them or not said by them. I was very disappointed that we were lied to by the upper echelons when we got told that the alpha was a far earlier build and that the later build is far better. It wasn't. The later build was worse, if anything. I mean, when this came out, it had more bugs than the alpha had. You know, so I get everybody's invested in this game. I've played it from just after launch. I've played this game, and you know, I sank good money in to play this game. My original PC wasn't great. I bought a new PC, the GTX 1080. I've bought Hortus, I bought Merge, I bought the game, I bought Horizons, I bought Odyssey. I've just, you know, I bought new monitors, mice, keyboards, all to make this game better to play. I bought VR headsets. And I'm not a VR player, by the way. You know, I play a game, and when I'm playing this game, I don't play VR because it shuts me away from my family. So I don't play it in VR. Now and again, I'll stick the VR headset on, but 2K for me is just so good. I don't need VR. So, you know, that was the other disappointing thing, how FDev, basically, you know, they've not going to move on with VR for the time being. Let's see where it goes, you know. For those people that are super invested in VR, it's a big disappointment. But come on, you can't go threatening and abusing people that cannot change anything with the game because of their job. You know, community management team can't do anything. So be better, people. Be better than that. The Elite Dangerous community is a tight-knit community. It was one of the best in gaming. But, oh man, it's gone well downhill of late. And the downfall started way before Odyssey. Way before. So, come on, folks. All us long-standing members of the community that have been playing this forever, come on, let's rise above it and be better than the toxic people. I find that some of the how can I put it? I find that the some of the creators on YouTube, Twitch, etc. haven't helped the situation. They've sort of fueled it a little bit. I'm not naming names, but some have fueled the situation with how the community's received Odyssey. But, you know, ultimately, they're making their money off Odyssey. Well, not off Odyssey, but off Elite. They're making money off it. Now, if this game's not running 100% for them, then they can't create the content required to make money. For some content creators, it's purely their only source of income, and, you know, I get why they're moan about it. But ultimately, this isn't my job. I have a hard working job, and if I got abused doing my job, God help the person that did it. Because, you know, I'm not there to be abused, just like the people who work for Frontier Development are not there to be abused. So can we please be better and rise above it? Anyway, that's all I've got to say. So that was just basically trying to get people to focus on something else rather than FPS. And as I've said, you know, to recap, Horizon spoiled us with how well that was optimized. And this came out and it was, holy hell, what is this mess? But, you know, it's not as bad as you think. I mean, we all watch movies at 24 FPS, 24, 29 FPS most movies. We don't go more than about that, do we? You know. And let's face it, a trip to the cinema, for the cost of it, I'm 5,500 hours into Elite Dangerous. You know, I was almost 5,500 hours into it before Odyssey came out. So I've certainly had my money's worth out of it. And I'm going to give FDev more than enough chance to get this right. I think I owe them that. You know, I've kept faith in them for them 5,500 hours. A few more won't hurt, will it? So there we have it. That's the end of the video. Bit of a rant, bit of all sorts. But come on, please, don't be toxic. Just have fun, play the game. And I know people are getting really poor frame rates, but experiment with your settings. Don't accept what your settings are giving you and experiment with them. Find some optimal settings for yourself, because I'm sure there will be some. And check also what you're running in the background, because they definitely play a massive part in how this game performs. So, thanks for watching, folks. I've been Andy Gamer Mother, and this has been Elite Dangerous Odyssey. Take care. Peace.